Good evening, everyone. My name is Beverley De-Gale.
And I'm Orin Lewis.
And welcome to ACLT in conversation with BBC One Extra's DJ Ace, or Ace, as we like to call him. But before we get into Ace, we'd just like to explain who we are. We are the co-founders of the ACLT charity. That is the African Caribbean Leukemia Trust, a charity that was founded just over 24 years ago to raise awareness about blood stem cell, organ and blood donation, specifically targeting the Black and mixed race communities because of a lack of donors within our community. We started because of our son. He was diagnosed with leukemia when he was 6 years old, urgently needed a bone marrow transplant, started a campaign, registered tens of thousands of people as potential donors, eventually found our son a match, but sadly we lost him many years later to multiple organ failure. This is why we talk about organ donation, and actually is the reason why we are speaking to Ace today. So before we actually bring Ace into the conversation, we just like to give you a brief profile about the man himself. Ashley, aka Ace, was born on the 24th of September 1980 at East Dulwich Hospital in South London to mum Adjua and father Delvin. Ashley is half Ghanaian on his mother's side and half St. Lucian on his father's side.
At the age of 16, Ashley attended the Brit School in Croydon, and after graduating, he went on to Greenwich University and studied media production and technology, but soon dropped out and headed back home. The Brit School called him back to teach a class, a radio course, and it was then that he heard about the newly launched radio station on the BBC called BBC One Extra, which is on their digital radio platform. And straight away, Ace sent them a demo of his work alongside his partner and friend Viz, and they did it at the Brit School, and the powers that be at One Extra loved it, and they called him back and said, look, we need to sign you up, we need you. And as they say, the rest is history.
Their groundbreaking lunchtime show achieved cult status, gaining Ace and Viz an acclaimed Sony Gold Award. Their progression in radio was swift as they moved on into the acclaimed drive time slot and their own show on BBC Radio 1 every Friday night, championing the changing face of UK urban music on the UK's biggest network. The duo's appetite of cheekiness and troublemaking awarded them the task of hosting some of the UK's premier black music award shows, such as the Mobos, the Ill Out Show, and hosting shows such as MTV, which took them around the world, including specials from Japan, New York, and Jamaica, featuring the likes of Wiley, Kano, T.I., and Estelle.
It wasn't long before the demand for Ace's DJ skills started racking up with gigs around the world, making pit stops in Dubai, Ibiza, Ayia Napa, as well as supporting many A-list artists on tour. So at the beginning of 2017, Ashley, or Ace as we know him, celebrated a major career move by being promoted to the coveted weekday 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. slot on BBC One Extra, which is the home to the station's legendary live lounge. And he took over the reins from the also legendary Mr. Trevor Nelson.
His creative streak expanded as he co-created and presently hosts the popular online show Cut the Chat, which has been described as loose women for men. Borrowing from the banter normally displayed in your local barbershop, Cut the Chat is a no-holds-barred look at life through hosts and guests who keep it real. Recent guests have included Ed Sheeran, Getz, Doneo, Adam Deacon, Big Nasty, Ashley Walters, Eddie Caddy, and DJ Spoonie.
Ace has also expanded his talent into the acting world with a small role in popular British drama EastEnders, spin-off E20, and featured in a film which we, the ACLT, were part of, called It's a Lot. Hope you remember that, Ace. His unrivaled knowledge and passion for WWE wrestling, which our kids love and many adults still love, has seen him being accepted into the inner circle of the sport. So he's met and interviewed some of the top WWE wrestlers that you can imagine, including Stone Cold, Steve Austin, Randy Orton, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, Shawn Michaels, Mick Foley, Edge, Sheamus, and many, many more. And he's flown to Atlanta and Miami to cover the world famous, prestigious WrestleMania events.
Ashley's partner is Michaela. Michaela has a 5-year-old daughter, Mavea, and Ashley has 2 children of his own, daughter Ashana, who's 16 years of age, and son Isaiah, who is 11 years of age.
So there you have the profile of the man himself, Ace. And so I think it's only fitting that we welcome Ace, DJ Ace, Ashley, to the conversation.
Hey.
How you doing?
That research was amazing. I wish I did that much research before I did my interviews. You guys have done very well. I forgot about half of that stuff. I'm not gonna lie.
Hence the phone calls yesterday.
Oh, wow.
How you doing, young man?
I'm good. You know what's fun? Like, even just listen. Sometimes you forget about stuff you've done. Like I've had a good innings. Like, yeah, I should be very, very like proud and blessed that I've had the opportunity to do a lot of that stuff.
You have, and actually, we really had to kind of edit it down.
Right.
Yeah.
Ace.
So much.
So really, your career is phenomenal.
Thank you so much.
And it's just early. It's just early days.
Yeah, still got more to do. Still got loads to achieve. I hope.
Yeah, you will.
So starting with, we highlighted you went to Brit School, which is literally just around the corner from where we are, and it's so don't be fooled by the background. If you watch it. It's amazing what you can do with technology.
For sure.
And I mean, so it is. Many famous artists, as you know, have come out of the Brit School, and of course, you came out of it, and obviously you didn't feel it was right the direction you was going in. What
right.
drove you to suddenly go into this field with your love and to aim that high?
I think like radio is something I've always been passionate about. I started collecting records when I was like a really young, maybe 8 or 9 years old. Was like a bedroom DJ, but radio was something I was always drawn to, and I never necessarily thought like it was something that, as a youngster, I didn't think it was something I could get paid for and like, have a living doing. Even though there were a few presenters that were doing it, but in regards to like people that I grew up or I was around, like all the DJs I liked were like pirate DJs, so it wasn't necessarily a career for them. And it was like Trevor, and I used to listen to Westwood. Those are the 2 DJs that I would listen to that were on legal radio station. So I didn't necessarily know if it was something I could actually do. But when I actually went and visited the Brit School, I saw that they had like facilities where I could actually learn production and how to edit and learn how to really like tailor this love for radio I have. I was like, yeah, this is where I got to go. So I didn't apply to any other college. I just applied to the Brit School, and luckily I got in, or mum would have been really upset. But luckily I got in.
It's not easy to get into the Brit School. Am I correct?
Definitely not. Like it's a you have a one-on-one kind of audition, and you really got to just talk and really show that you're passionate about what you're trying to go there for, and maybe like what I was saying shone through, because yes, I got accepted, and I really spent a lot of time. People that went to the Brit School with me will know that I spent every hour in the radio suite. I was in there learning what every knob, every fader does, how to edit, how to get my questions right, and I really took it very, very seriously. It's something I really loved doing.
And then you went on from the Brit School to was it Greenwich University? Have I got that right?
Yeah. So it's technical because I was at Greenwich University, but my site was in Southend, Essex. So it wasn't like actually part of the uni. It was like it was a Greenwich course that was being done at a site that was in Southend. So I had to leave home for the first time ever. And I was in Southend. It was the first time I'd ever been away from my mum, and first time I'd ever even been away from South London, to be fair. And I had a house in Southend in Essex, and I didn't get on too well, if I'm honest. I just didn't really enjoy it. And obviously I wasn't really around my people, and I'm just so used to being with my mum, and it just didn't feel right. So I came home after a short stint there.
It definitely wasn't meant to be, because whilst you was at the Brit School, you also met with your mate Viz.
That's right. So yeah, we had a radio show while we were at college, which was called The Heavy Half Hour, and we used to like broadcast this show during lunchtime to everybody that was in the canteen, and it was just like it ended up being like somewhere where people would even come and hang out while we were doing this radio show. And so what I did was I took some of the best parts of that show and we edited it into a 3-minute demo, which we sent to One Extra, and they loved it and they signed us.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you haven't looked back from there, because I mean the two you guys went on and became very much trailblazers in the sort of the field of DJing. And give us an idea what it was like in the early days when you know going mainstream, and suddenly you literally were headhunted to do this.
It was wild because we heard about One Extra and was like, oh wow, amazing, the BBC are going to start a black music station, and we were hearing about all of these names that were getting signed to One Extra. So it was like DJ Semtex, the Heartless Crew, Robbo Ranks, Rodney Pinsky. These are all names of people that we knew, and we were like, yo, we are fans of these people, like, and we were just two youngsters that had just come off of the back of doing sixth form college. I went to uni for a little bit. Viz was doing stuff with a record label at the time, and so we were like, look, we couldn't believe that we were being considered to be on a station with these guys. We didn't necessarily have the radio experience that some of our peers would have had at that time, and we were just two young kids that were like being signed to the BBC. It was a wild experience, but they really enjoyed what we do. So like at the beginning, it was just they even said to us, like, we want that young, fresh energy. So just go mad. If you guys go crazy or too crazy, we'll reel you back in. So we were doing like crazy things on the radio. We were like hiring clamps to clamp other presenters' cars, and we were doing pranks on people. And we were doing loads of just wild things back then. We eventually like took it to television. So we did some things with Channel U and MTV. It was just a roller coaster. We didn't really know, like, it wasn't necessarily in the plan, but we were just getting called left, right, and center. And it was just an amazing time for us. We were so busy as well.
And it just came so natural to you, because I suspect that for most people who would want to get into what you do, Ace, they'd struggle, right? It's not a case of that this is an easy thing to get into.
No, it's definitely not an easy thing, and it's definitely not an easy thing to keep, because like I've been at One Extra, like you have said, like since it launched in 2002, and obviously we've seen people come and go. I've seen DJs come and go. Me and Viz went our separate. Well, Viz has got a really successful production company, because Viz is one of them people that's just amazing at everything. So yeah, he went off and did it. He's got a production company, but I obviously love radio, so I'm still there. But I've seen so many DJs come and go. It's not something that is easy to stay in. Definitely not something easy to get, but definitely more. I think it's even more difficult to stay in it. So yeah, it's not easy at all.
So just before we move on in terms of your One Extra career, one thing that in terms of our research, which was green light for me, was me and you have a lot in common from the start of our journey, because East Dulwich Hospital.
Yeah. East Dulwich Hospital. Zoop, zoop. That's how I was born. 24th of September 1988. Is that when you were born, Orin?
Decades apart, but you know, that's the start of our journey.
You know what's funny? I meet so many people that were born at that hospital. Is that hospital still there?
Really?
Yeah, I mean, every time I meet somebody,
I'm not sure
we said this yesterday. We don't think it's still there. We think it's been knocked down. If anybody knows any different, just put a comment, please.
Definitely.
So moving on to One Extra, and you met so many amazing people, very famous, up and coming artists, mainstream, under the radar. We've got some pictures of you, and there's gigs, and just give us a flavor of what it's like when you
for that picture.
These ones.
So people make fun of me for that picture because of my hand position under gigs.
I've just seen it. Oh,
like we're a bit close in that one.
Do you want to tell us something?
No, gigs I love gigs. I'm a massive fan of gigs. That's all.
Yeah, but not in that way.
Born in East Dulwich Hospital as well. Who knows?
Yeah, it's I mean, there's so many people you've met. It was hard to actually choose who to populate. But we sort of went with a sort of diverse set of celebrities, whether they be in music or sport or whatever, film.
How does it feel when these guys walk into your studio and you've got to sit down with them and have a conversation? How do you manage that?
I think it used to be more difficult. I think now it's a lot easier. I think I just like conversation, if I'm honest, and I don't really treat in interviews like interviews. I don't really want to do interviews. Sometimes I do have questions like written down, but I hardly ever go to them. If we're able to just have a free-flowing conversation, that's good enough for me. If the interview's going badly, I'll go to the questions 100%.
Has that ever happened?
Oh, it's happened more times than you'll know. It's happened on camera. It's like, there's been times when some artists are just not good at talking, or they're not warm enough for you to really get into a conversation with. And then I'll just divert straight to the 10 questions that I've got there. But I don't really like to do that. I'd rather just have a just free flowing conversation about whatever. Like, I think those make the best interviews for me. So like when we first started, of course, like I'm getting to sit down with people I'm a fans of, and it's like, it's kind of surreal. It's like, oh my God, like I was listening to you and now I'm sitting in front of you. But I think now it's more so like I'm a bit more comfortable with it now. I think there's the odd occasion when I get a superstar or somebody I've idolized or like listened to as a youngster, where I might get a little bit nervous. But yeah, it's a lot easier than it once was.
What was it like when you were chatting with Chadwick Boseman?
Yeah, like even that, I think it's funny because yes, I'm a massive Marvel fan. Obviously, like I'm a huge Marvel fan. Bev, you've been in my studio. I've got Spider-Man on the wall. Like, like that's me. And we got Black Panther cushions. Like it is what it is. But when I done that Chadwick Boseman interview, although I was a fan, I was really excited about meeting Chadwick Boseman. Obviously, I didn't know about how important the interview was going to be. I'm sure that was like one of the last interviews he would have done in the UK. And then only when I watched it back did I realize like how warm we were to each other. Like it was a very, like, I watch it like every now and then, and I'm like, wow, this is actually a moment. And I don't know if a lot of people have had the opportunity to see it, but if you go and watch that interview, like we definitely had like a rapport, and he was and it's like, it's spooky to know that, not even spooky, but it's sad to know that he would have known what he was going through at that time. But it's wild to he was happy, just a warm spirit, like not down about anything. If you have an opportunity, go check that interview out. It's on YouTube, myself and Chadwick.
Yeah, we will. We will.
And other people like Toni Braxton. I mean,
Michaela's not watching. Michaela's not watching.
I got another one of these. Hold on, let me try if I can put it. Actually, I can't. Let me get that. It's me and Tony.
Wow.
Oh my goodness me. Oh my goodness.
That was a beautiful moment, man. Like I said, I'm an R&B DJ through and through. I'm a massive fan of R&B music. So when I get opportunities to meet some of the artists that I listened to in my teens and when I grew up, like Toni Braxton's and Mary J. Blige and Erykah Badu, these are like the queens for me. So yeah, this was a awesome moment. I had an opportunity to host an event for Toni Braxton, and this was the night of it, actually, in a hotel. There wasn't just me and her there. There was loads of other people there. And then the next day she came and did my radio show. So it was really cool, man. She was so nice. She was really sweet.
And then you get a contrast of Toni Braxton to Miss Banks, legends and up and coming stars, and you have to traverse, the differences, the nuances of the genre, to obviously make them feel comfortable in your presence in terms of having the discussion about their brand of music.
Yeah, man. I like talking to the heritage artists for sure. Those are the artists that I obviously got with, but I also like finding out about the newer artists. And like, I was obviously a younger DJ 15 years ago, and I was like helping to break a lot of these new artists, but I also feel like it's good for me in kind of I don't know, like the leadership, not even leadership, but like as an older statesman in broadcasting to definitely bring through some of the younger talent and yeah, like just find out what's going on. And yeah, I love Miss Banks. Her energy's dope, man.
Yeah, and then of course you got legends like, you know, Black Twang, you got Rodney P, and of course you got dear departed Ty. You
Rest
know?
in peace, Ty, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like all three of those guys are so like in my early days, like I had a I don't even can't believe I'm saying this, but I had a very short rap career in my teens. So you guys can find out. Yeah.
You didn't pick up on that one.
Yeah. And I was a real fan of UK hip hop. So those three men were like artists that I was listening to when I was like putting pen to paper. Black Twang's got one of my favorite hip hop albums of all time, 19 Long Time. Ty was somebody that you would just bump into in Brixton and you could speak to him outside the tube station for an hour about anything. And then Rodney, like I said, when I first joined One Extra, Rodney P was one of the DJs that was on there. And yeah, it was just like I've followed him since the London Posse. So that like having opportunities like this to meet people that I grew up listening to has just been awesome.
And then you got celebrity legends like Mr. Ian Wright. That must have been a blast.
Of course, man. I'm a gooner, and I did this. I've done 2 interviews with Ian Wright now. The first one we did, we sat down for like 90 minutes, and we're just chopping it up about his career. And Ian's just so wicked, man. He's just like the warmest person. He it's almost like he doesn't know that he's a legend. Like, do you know what I mean? He forgets all that he's done. And we spoke about everything from bowling on the pitch to growing up in South London. There was so much. And yeah, even now, whenever I call for something, Ian will pick up the phone. We did something recently about the Real McCoy, and yo, he'll check on me. Obviously, he knows what's going on with my health situation. He'll phone and check up on me or send me a message. Yeah, he's wicked, man. Love Ian Wright.
Yeah. He was one of our patrons and has supported our work for many years. So we completely understand what you're saying. He is really a very cool, kind person.
He is. And so, very much so.
You know, you've been here since the start, and this is, you know, sort of for people to know you've been lauded with prizes along the way. You know, the UK Entertainment Awards. How does it feel to be honoured in you know, for doing something that you love?
Yeah, man, it's an amazing feeling. I always, whenever I've picked up an award, I always say, yeah, I deserve this, because I do. I think like I genuinely feel like and I know that we always say, oh yeah, big up to the other nominees, big up to you guys. You guys may have deserved it, but I feel like I deserved it. I feel like when I think like
there's no greater feeling than being awarded for doing something that you really enjoy.
100%, man. And I love being on the microphone daily. It's been my dream, and I feel blessed to be able to have my dream job, and to be awarded for it is great as well. So yeah, I love it.
Yeah. So you're doing interesting. You finish on that note, doing your dream job, and then as with everyone, life takes a turn in a fork in the road, when you're least expecting it, in terms of it can bring you spectacular positivity, but also can go the other way and suddenly take you down a journey that nobody wants to go down. And we know that journey that you're presently going on, where you know you're in a mood where you're suddenly reflective of life, and suddenly you're thinking, what's happening? What's my future? Where am I going with my life? Because of my health suddenly making things different. And give us, if you don't mind, give us a sort of an idea of just how this manifested itself.
The renal failure.
Yeah.
So I was diagnosed with diabetes when I was about 19 or 20. And
is that diabetes 1 or 2?
Type 2 diabetes. It was like just before I think it was just before I'd went off to go to uni. So yeah, I've always been like taking like meds for it. Just went on with my normal life really. And in 2018, it started to affect my kidney. So I was told that I had really low kidney function, and then in May, and that eventually I may need to start dialysis. And then in May of 2018, I actually started dialysis and was told that I'm going to need a kidney transplant. So yeah, I was on dialysis. I'm still on dialysis now. But in regards to like my trail of thought during that time, if I'm totally honest, it was just like, okay, this is a hurdle. I'm gonna get a kidney at some point. It's gonna like go under the radar. I'm probably not gonna tell anybody I've got this kidney issue. I'm just gonna wait. I'll get my kidney and then just keep it moving. But that wasn't very realistic, if I'm honest. I think it was important for me to tell people around me that I was going through it. I also didn't know, like, I wasn't totally aware of how long the wait for a kidney would be. I felt like it was something that was just going to come soon. And then I was getting more and more information about it, and like the how real the situation was becoming more apparent. So yeah. So yes, I found out I found out it was going to take 2 to 6 years to get a kidney. Like what dialysis entails started to become a bit more real for me as well. So yeah, all of these things were hitting me. Real life was really like coming at me fast.
So you've been on dialysis for just over 2 years. We're going to show our audience a short video that we did with you, Ashley. Sorry, everyone. I call Ace Ashley.
That's fine.
So
you're allowed.
If you hear us crossing over, it will make sense.
It's the mum in her.
It's the mum in me. It is the mum in me. We just want to show this video so that people can get a feel for your journey, Ashley. Okay?
Yes, what's going on? It's the boy Ace right here. And salute to the NHS. My name is Ace. I'm a radio presenter at BBC Radio 1 Extra. When I was first diagnosed, they told me that a black man of my age, the average is 2 to 6 years wait for a kidney. I found out I was diabetic when I was 20 years old. I never knew that it would progress into renal failure. I went for a routine checkup and they said, yeah, your kidney function is really low. And then eventually it got really bad and I was told that I had to start dialysis and I'd need a kidney transplant. What dialysis does is cleans your blood. It does the job of a kidney. They hook you up to a machine, they put 2 needles in you, and your blood will go through this machine and clean out all of the toxins. It's taking its toll. It's frustrating to have to base my life and every decision around 4 hospital trips a week. While I was doing dialysis, the people from the ACLT got in touch with me, Bev and Orin got in touch with me, and kind of broke down to me why having this platform was so important to other people that were like me, and that there were loads of black people waiting for organs, and no one's talking about organ donation. Organ donation is definitely something that is very taboo within our community. We don't talk about it. No one ever talks about why or where this came from or what's the reason that we don't do it. It's just something that we just don't do. So I always remember, like, when I was 17 and I was filling out my driver's license form, and you get down to the part that asks you if you want to be an organ donor. And I went to my mum, I was like, look, Mum, do I fill out this part? And she was like, no, we don't do that. We don't do that. And I never, ever questioned, like, why. It could be religious, it could be cultural. I know that there is a real lack of trust from the black community when it comes to just authority. There's loads of people like me that are waiting for organs that probably don't need to wait as long. And this is just because there are people that don't want to be on a list, even if, God forbid, they pass, their organs are just going to go to waste when there's somebody that's sitting in a hospital bed 4 times a week like me that could have used that kidney. If it was your family member, I'm pretty sure you'd want them to have an organ donor. And if it was you, how would you feel if you had to base your life around going to the hospital 4 times a week? Like, I'm dying to take my kids on holiday, and I can't. If I had a donor, I'd be worry-free.
So actually, just seeing that, it really kind of brings home the journey that you're on at the moment. And I just want to say again, just so that everybody understands, you've been on dialysis for just over 2 years now. Initially started having dialysis 3 days a week. Now you're on 4 days a week. How is this impacting you and your family and your everyday life?
Yeah, it's grating on me right now. If I'm honest, it's I think before I was just taking it on the chin, but it's starting to take its toll. Like there's so many things I want to do at times. Is like I want to stay busy. I've got so many different plans of different projects I want to do, and all of them are hindered at me having to be at the hospital 3 or 4 times a week. There's certain places I wanted to go. This, like I've said in the film, I want to take my kids on holiday. All of these things are things that I can't just do in a whim because I have to be in Sutton 3 times a week, 3-4 times a week. So yes, it is. It's taking its toll, and I'm ready for it to be over.
And there's a section in the video where you actually say that you spoke to your mum when you were 17, when you was filling in your driving license, and you said to your mum, what do I do with this bit about organ donation? And, I don't want to say anything negative about your mum, about what she said to you, because I think actually what she said was quite typical. And that was that, no, we don't do that. And I just wonder how you kind of now, with everything that's going on and what you've seen yourself when you go into these dialysis centres and you see the numbers of Black people that are on these machines having dialysis, who are in need of kidney transplants, how does that make you feel now when you kind of now really are seeing you're at the forefront of witnessing the effects of people saying, actually, no, we don't do that?
Yeah, I think, especially for me, I've had to move like 3 different spaces for dialysis, and definitely there's an overwhelming amount of Black people and Asian people that are there every day waiting for an organ. And I think it's sad. And again, like I keep saying, it's like, yeah, that my mum said that when I was 17. I'm sure, like, I can put money on it that I'm not the only person that had heard that from their parents, especially within my peer group. Like, it's something that we just never spoke about. Like, everyone's parents has said that to them at some point. Not everyone, but most people I know, his parents have said that to some. And it goes to show, like I said, when I go for dialysis, I'm seeing Black and Asian people, and I just feel like it's time for us to be having these conversations. It can't be ignored anymore. Like, we need to really start talking about this. We really need to, like, I know it's an uncomfortable conversation to have, but it's one that we need to have.
Yeah, because basically it's down to us to try and turn this situation around and getting our people to not opt out of the organ donation system, but to actually stay in so that we can help one of our own.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely. It's we're having a few technical issues, people, so we're gonna keep chatting. And actually, in terms of the search and the awareness going on, do you think with the change of law that's taken place, you think there's the Black community, speaking for the Black community, you think that it's a game changer, potential game changer for getting more Black people on board?
Definitely. I think when I heard about the change in the law, first thing I thought was like, yo, this is amazing. Like, we're gonna start getting organs now, and it's gonna start happening for us. But we know that people have been opting out in their droves, and again, this all goes back to us not talking about it. People are just opting out without getting the information, without doing their own credible research, and people are just opting out I don't know if it's due to fear mongering or old wives' tales or whatever. Is it cultural? Is it religious? We keep going back to all of these questions, but I think none of these questions can be answered unless we talk about it. And I think the conversation is where it starts. But yes, I did think the change in the law was going to be an amazing thing. But it's quite heartbreaking to see that us black people are the ones that are opting out. Are we? Is it in regards to the stats? Are we the most that are opting out? Are we the biggest group?
We're the largest group that's opting out is those from the Muslim faith, British Pakistanis, and British Bangladeshis in huge numbers before the change of law and after the change of law have been opting out. The black community in I think it's about 60,000-70,000 collectively have opted out. Now going forward, I mean, if you look at the last financial year, there are about nearly 400 black people awaiting a kidney transplant and an organ transplant. If you look at who donated the last financial year, there were only 30 black people who donated an organ as a deceased organ donor. In other words, their family consented to their organs being donated, which is 10 more than the year before, but still a long way from the optimum levels. And on the living organ donation, there were only something like 26 people that actually donated an organ as a living donor. That's mainly a kidney or liver. So there's a lot more when you've still got nearly 400 people still waiting. And if those that are fortunate to find donors, it's mainly not coming from the black community, it's coming from people who are white who just happen to luckily match.
Sad, man.
So,
it's sad.
Yeah, it is sad. And so it's what we're trying to do is we're trying to get people to really appreciate and understand that time is of the essence. You still with us, Ashley?
I'm still there. You got me?
Yeah, I can see we're having some technical problems. I'm hoping that people can still see this recording. But we're still soldier on because we can't use our slides at the moment. Anything more do you want to add to what we're talking about? I mean, as well as organ donation, we need people to give blood. There's an urgent need for the black community, especially, to register and give blood. I'm giving blood next Tuesday, the 17th, for the 47th time. So I'm closing in on hopefully sometime next year, I'll close in on the 50. But we need more black people to give blood. And we also need black people and everyone to register as stem cell bone marrow donors. There's an urgent need as well. So on all three fronts, we're trying to get people to step forward and make a difference.
Yeah. We was going to show some people that are waiting for transplants of sorts so that the audience could appreciate the severity of the problem. We can't show their images, but we are currently campaigning on behalf of a young girl by the name of Arya, who was diagnosed recently with aplastic anemia and urgently needs a stem cell transplant to cure her of the disease. So we're hoping that people will today at the end consider registering to become potential stem cell donors. We're also campaigning on behalf of a young black male by the name of Matthew Njuvo, who also needs a kidney transplant. So we're hoping that people will hear your message, Ashley, and sign up and, not opt out of the organ donor register in the in England and Wales. Each week we are focusing on a young 9-year-old girl called Aurora, who was recently diagnosed with stage 4 blood cancer, urgently needs a stem cell transplant. She's in hospital now going through some treatments, and the doctors are hoping that at the end of the treatments, a perfect match will be found for her. And we're hoping that with ACLT working alongside our partners DKMS and Anthony Nolan, that a perfect matching stem cell donor will be found on her behalf.
Yeah. So I think we've more or less covered most of the ground in terms of your career, your need for a matching donor, that your quality of life being hampered by the fact that you're on dialysis so often, but you're still positive in your outlook. And ACLT and all the other stakeholders involved are really trying to make sure that you get what you need to give you back the quality of life that you deserve. We've got a few more shows coming up. If you're still watching, we've got Ade Adepitan, Paralympian and broadcaster, travel show expert. He's coming on next week.
Next week,
And then we've got from the
Following
Receipt
week,
podcast, we've got Audrey Ndomit. She's that highly influential young lady who's going to talk about what the Receipt podcast do online and how they influence and shape social media. And beginning of December, we've got George the poet, spoken word expert, hitting us with some words and thoughts on life, especially in this climate right now, which is, these are troubling times for everyone, and George has obviously got a view in it. If you want to help Ace and anyone else like him in terms of organ donation, blood donation, stem cell donation, go to aclt.org to see how you can find out more about being a donor. If you're ready to make sure that you don't opt out, but you need more information, go to the organdonation.nhs.uk website to find out more about organ donation, deceased and living. Ace, you want anything more to add?
Well, I just want to say thank you to you guys. You guys have been such a help, and a lot of the when I was saying like life coming at me fast, a lot of the information that I got was from you guys. Like I said, I was willing to try and just like have this go under the radar and wait for my kidney, but Bev and Orin came to see me while doing dialysis one day, and they really just broke down why me having this platform and me being in a situation could actually go on to help other people as well. So I'm gonna always say this, like, I know I'm gonna get my kidney soon at some point, and even after I do, I will continue to help with what you guys do, because it's so amazing and you're so needed. So thank you so much, Bev and Orin and the ACLT, all you guys, and big up to everybody that's been listening tonight.
Oh, bless you. Ashley, you really don't need to thank us. We do what we do because we care. Unfortunately, we've been at the real hard face of this whole donation experience, and we know what families go through when you're waiting for a match to come through.
Yeah.
It's an absolute pleasure for us to work with you. The biggest thing for us would be that we start seeing Black mixed race people registering in large numbers, and that actually it's a case of why are you not on the register rather than what you're on the register. Why? We've got to turn this corner, and stop believing all of the misfears and taboos that are out there on this subject matter, and start supporting each other in this life-saving way. We
really want to salute you and champion you for taking this on board in terms of picking up the baton. You're doing like what our Daniel used to do, just straight to camera and say, this is what's needed. If you can't help me, you can help someone else. And so we really appreciate what you're doing. You're very much more than just a role model in terms of your career, but actually doing something on top of this that's so important for humanity. That's quite an achievement to do. So we really appreciate that, and we're with you every step of the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you guys so much, honestly.
No worries. If you're still watching, thank you very much for watching me. Sorry about the technical problems. Suddenly it happens, and but hopefully you can still see and hear us, and hopefully you've enjoyed this ACLT in conversation with DJ Ace on BBC One Extra. Catch us at this time next week with Ade Adepitan, and have a good evening and all the best.
Thank you, everyone. Au revoir.
Hi there, guys. If you're still there, apologies for the fact that we had to
End
the show earlier than planned. Thank you very much for watching and listening. It was quite something. I'm glad you were able to actually see and hear Ace, and we got our message across, but we had some technical issues at our end. Thank you for hanging with us. I can see still quite a few of you are still online. Have you got any questions to us? If you're still there watching us, I can see some of our Sean Pascal and others, and Vanessa.
Raphael, nice to see you. If you're still on, haven't spoken to you for a while. Vanessa, thanks so much for tuning in. Manchester girl, thanks so much for your comment. Damon Elstone, we'll pass all your messages on to Ace.
Yeah.
Let him know that you were all tuned in. And we're so sorry for the technical problems. We could not present all of the PowerPoints that we had as part of the conversation.
But we were able to get a conversation going in terms of just the key message, in terms of what we represent and how Ace is trying to help himself and help so many other people out there needing the gift of life. So we appreciate your time. And thank you, Ralph, for -1 kidney, saying keep up the good work. Thank you very much so. And you guys keep up the good work in terms of being the ambassadors or the messaging out in your communities. Makes a lot of difference to someone out there. And it's that domino effect of everyone trying to do their little bit so that a life can be saved.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much. Thanks for tuning in. Next Thursday, Ade Adepitan, we will be speaking to on the same lines at 7 o'clock. So we look forward to seeing you. If you want to get in touch with myself and Orin, please contact us via info@aclt.org.
Yeah, and it is a case of if you want to help us in terms of just doing things from registering, just go to our website. If you want to make financial donations or tell others, every little bit helps, especially in these times that we have now. So it is very much appreciative. So just really sort of closing down everything now, and
thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.